Today I'm going to talk about a couple different things around like birth, Maddox's 1 month update, and his 2 month update because he just turned 2 months old. This has been the longest yet the shortest 2 months of my life. So if you have not, I will link below in the description our birth video. Recovery. I actually lost a lot of blood during delivery. They were keeping a really close eye on me. They thought I was gonna have to have a blood transfusion. It was to the point where like my face was twitching up on one side and I couldn't control it. So I'm sorry, I'm not doing this on purpose. And it was kind of funny, but also kind of freaky at the same time. And because I hadn't eaten since 8 o'clock that morning, so the nurses and Austin were just like shoving food in my face. Like having an epidural, again, was interesting. It was awesome. I would highly recommend it. I was trying to like power through, like, oh, I want to see how long I can go without an epidural. That was so silly. So when you are induced, they give you a drip of Pitocin, I believe it's called. I don't remember. I think that's what it is, but so it helps you like start contractions. And while I was having my contractions, like your body kind of like takes over after a while. So like the medicine was making me have contractions and then my body was having contractions. So it got to the point where I was having like hard contractions every 30 seconds, like not having a break, and that was completely miserable. Anyway, he ended up being jaundiced, and in an oils video that I did, I said that nobody in my family had been jaundiced except for my uncle, and then I found out later that I was actually jaundiced as a baby. Like knowing what jaundice is, like it's really not that big of a deal. There are tons of babies who have jaundice and they turn out just fine. Being the hormonal hot mess that I was, which is weird because before I had Maddox, I was like an emotional robot. So I was a hot mess. I cried because we could not go home and I felt like it was my fault. And we had to give him formula because I wasn't able to feed him for the first couple days. So that was also stressful, like not being able to provide for your baby. And like I was so set, I mean, I'm breastfeeding now, but I was so set on just like breastfeeding and getting it started, but that wasn't an option, and that was kind of heartbreaking as well. So he went like the first week of his life with formula, which I hated, but we're past it now, that's okay. And it was so sad because he had to lay on this bilirubin blanket with a light, and he had this little like ski mask thing on, and because his head was so big, it like always fell off. Breastfeeding is hard, was so hard. Yeah, it is super, super painful right before you get like your tolerance built up. I was to the point where like I was so excited that I was able to feed him, but at the same time I like dreaded feeding him because it hurt so bad. But we got that cleared up, and like just as it was starting to get better, I thought I had a clogged duct on my left side. So I love essential oils, so that was like the first thing I went to, was like, what essential oils can I help with getting rid of this clogged duct? So I was using those, and I got some sunflower lecithin, hot compresses, cold compresses, hot showers, massage, like the whole 9 yards, and I could not get this stupid clogged duct to pass. So, and I knew it wasn't, I didn't think it was mastitis because I wasn't running a fever, which is like #1 sign, and #2, it was not red yet. So I'm like, well, it can't be mastitis, it has to be a clogged duct because it was kind of getting like lumpy. And then over a weekend, it got super, super red, like stop sign red, and really hard. It felt like a shelf on my boob. I ended up going to the doctor, and it was an abscess, they thought. So they're like, okay, well, we'll just go in and have it drained. So the next day I went in, and got it drained, and it came back positive for staph infection. So I had gotten staph infection from him, like just bacteria got up into my boob, and it didn't get flushed out in time, so it just created this pocket, which created staph infection, and so they had to drain it. And to drain it and fully get rid of it, they actually had to like cut down into my chest and let it heal from the bottom up. So you could stick like this much of your finger inside the hole, and it was about like a $half size round. Like, it was kind of cool. If you guys like Dr. Pimple Popper, it was very similar to something like that, which I thought was awesome. The next, like that night after the numbing stuff wore off, I was super sore and in so much pain. But then after that, it was totally fine. I did have to, Austin had to help me pack it the first time, but then after that, I was able to pack it myself. Well, it's still healing now. It's not a hole anymore. It's more just like a flesh wound. So let's get to the fun part. Let's get to Maddox. So his 1 month update, it was just crazy. He was already really strong after he was born. Like I would lay him on my chest in the hospital and he could pick his head up and look at me. So he's always had a really strong neck. He's been able to like look around and do all that stuff. He was 12.5 pounds when we went for his 1 month checkup. He was born 9 pounds 9 ounces. And when we went to his 1 month checkup, he was 12.6. And he was born at 21.5 inches and he was 22 inches at his update, or at his checkup. Loves to look out windows and he loves ceiling fans. Love ceiling fans. Hates being swaddled, hates every second of being swaddled, but he sleeps so much better when he's swaddled. He's just really ticked at night when we swaddle him right before we feed him and put him down. His stomach does not agree with anything that's tomato based or like has a strawberry flavor. So I've had to cut those things out of my diet. And my doctor did say that we could I could start eating them again in a couple months, just giving his stomach enough time to build up like the tolerance to handle the acidity of those foods. Really enjoys being outside, does not like the wind. He did not like the wind for the first month of his life. So fast forward to month 2. So September 14th was his 2 month. Still hates being swaddled, still loves ceiling fans, still loves windows. He's actually sleeping longer through the night. We went through a stretch of a few days where he would fall asleep when you feed him and he would be just passed out, like completely asleep. You could move him around and his eyes were closed and his arms were completely limp, like he was passed out. And it was like as soon as he touched his mattress or was in his crib, he woke up and he was not happy. So I spent one night, we fought it for 2 nights, and then I spent one night sleeping in his nursery chair, and I could not handle that anymore. So we played around a little bit, tried some different things, and we don't know what it was because we just tried like a whole hodgepodge of things one day, and he ended up sleeping pretty much, not all the way through the night, but only waking up one time. So we usually try to put him down between 7 and 8 o'clock. Sometimes it's later if we're out, which is fine. But we like to have him asleep before 9 o'clock. That way we can just that way Austin and I can watch our family vloggers, like have real adult conversation that don't revolve around poop, and then he'll sleep until like 3:30, 4 o'clock, and I'll feed him and then he'll go back to bed until like 7:30, 8 o'clock. And lately he's been really good. Like he'll wake up and I won't know it. He'll just like play around in his crib and talk to himself. He has found his voice, so yeah, talking to himself. He loves to hear himself babble, and he's smiling, and he's even got a little bit of a laugh. Now it's not consistent, but every once in a while we can get a good laugh out of him, which is super, super exciting. It's so hard like that first month because they really don't have any reaction to you. They just kind of stare at you in a very judgmental way. Well, at least Maddox did. He just is a natural scowler. Like he'll furrow his eyebrows like this and just stare at you. So the first month was really hard. Like there wasn't a lot of like instant gratification, which sounds super millennial of me, and I'm really, really sorry for sounding super millennial. But having that instant gratification now makes it so much easier to like get up in the middle of the night or like to change his outfit for the 5th time because he's either had a blowout or spit up everywhere. Yeah, so it's just really nice to have him be all smiley and to get him to giggle a little bit. He loves being read to. He loves books. Well, not books themselves. Maybe it's just because like, he hears voices, so that's nice, but I don't care. I'll just say that he loves books and loves being read to. He's also out of 0 to 3 month clothes. He has like a couple things in 0 to 3 months that he still fits into, but for the most part, he is in his 3 month clothes. For the most part, the 3 month clothes fit him lengthwise, and that's, I mean, he's just a long boy. But he's not super chunky, so it's kind of like baggy on the sides, but that's fine. He'll grow into them eventually. He still has a lot of his hair. I was convinced that it was gonna be all rubbed out and pretty much gone by now, but we're still there. It's very obvious and it is crazy. It is just so cool to see his little personality start to develop. He's a very happy boy unless he is hungry or like a little bit tired. Then he's not happy, which, I mean, who is happy when they're hungry and tired? That's nobody, right? Yeah, so we can't blame him for that. Yeah, so we have loved being parents. It is just the most rewarding and the best thing ever. And Austin has been such a huge help, which he has always been really good about helping with laundry and like keeping the house clean. He actually does a better job than I do most days. I am so grateful for him and his willingness to just pick up where I have left off or not even started. Since the baby's awake, I am going to show you just a little bit of our morning routine. Good morning. Hi, bud. Did you have a good sleep? Yeah, did you have a good sleep? We are going to my school's baseball and softball game tonight, and their colors are black and yellow. So he's got his black on and he'll just rock a yellow bib. Won't you? Yeah, I'll just rock a yellow bib.